Spring in Seattle always lingers with drizzle, dampening the bluestone path in front of Green Mansion, a century-old residence belonging to the Speaker of Washington's State Senate. Cherry blossoms under the porch, glistening with raindrops, bloomed in perfect fullness. I sat by the window, my fingertips brushing the pages of a yellowed classic novel, while the clear sound of laughter drifted from the front hall. It was my mother chatting with her two closest friends, Isabella, the governor's wife, and Alice, the matriarch of the Rockefeller family. These three women, who came from different backgrounds but now stood atop Washington's elite circle, had been inseparable since their days at the University of Seattle. At their graduation ball, beneath the cherry blossoms, they made a pact: if they all had children someday, they would arrange marriages between them, letting their friendship transcend social classes and continue through generations. Back then, their skirts fluttered in the wind, their eyes filled with longing for the future. None of them foresaw how unpredictable life would become. Isabella, hailing from a military-industrial family, had a bold and fiery temperament. She'd fallen in love with the governor at first sight, and their marriage was once deeply harmonious. But after giving birth to their eldest son Nicholas, she fell victim to the schemes of Lena, the lieutenant governor's wife. Lena, from an intellectual family, ran Seattle's largest private school. Her gentle and considerate demeanor had the governor wrapped around her finger. Unwilling to back down, Isabella gradually withdrew from the governor's social circle, pouring all her energy into raising Nicholas. In the vast governor's mansion, only mother and son remained, relying on each other. Alice, the most charismatic of the three, was the sole favorite of the Rockefeller family's leader, despite his other romantic interests. But when she was pregnant, eagerly awaiting her child's arrival, the family's shipping company was attacked by pirates. Her husband personally led a rescue mission at sea. No one expected it would be their final farewell. The news of his death reached her just as she survived the dangerous labor, giving birth to a frail baby boy named Elias. This child became the only direct heir to the Rockefeller fortune. My mother was the last to have a child. Gentle by nature, she was unexpectedly the apple of my father's eye. On the day I was born, mother suffered a difficult labor and nearly didn't survive. Father waited outside the ward, his soul shaken by her cries of agony. He even dropped the fountain pen that symbolized his status as speaker. When I was finally born safe and sound, he held me in his arms and swore in front of everyone, he would never want more than one wife and one daughter. Later, he secretly underwent a sterilization procedure. This resolute act moved mother for a lifetime, but it also shattered my grandmother's heart. Grandmother had always hoped father would have more children to ensure the Green family's lineage continued. Upon learning of the sterilization, she was so enraged that she immediately moved to my second uncle's house. Second uncle, the Deputy Minister of Finance of Washington State, had one wife and one concubine, and soon expanded his family. His wife gave birth to a daughter Lillian, and his concubine Sarah, even more fortunate, bore twins, a son Jason and a daughter Amy. Holding the baby boy in her arms, grandmother beamed from ear to ear, her gaze toward father growing increasingly cold. On my 100-day celebration, Green Mansion was bustling with guests. The governor's wife arrived with 4-year-old Nicholas, and Alice came with 2-year-old Elias, both here to celebrate. The two adorable little boys stared curiously at me in my swaddle. Elias, bolder of the two, reached out his chubby finger to poke my cheek. "Don't touch her." Nicholas pulled him back sharply, his small brows furrowed in solemnity. "Little sister will hurt and cry." Elias was so frightened that he quickly pulled his hand back, pursing his lips in a wronged manner. Seeing this, all the adults in the room burst into uncontrollable laughter. I remained completely oblivious, just smacking my lips and sound asleep. The governor's wife teased my mother with a smile. "What do we do now? We originally planned to have more children so we could carefully choose in-laws. But now each of us has only one child, and yours is the only girl. Which boy do you prefer? Let's decide on the engagement while they're young." Holding me in her arms, Mother's face softened with hesitation. My husband says this must be Chloe's choice. When she grows up, she'll marry whoever she wants. Back then, I had no idea this joke-like promise would stir up such a storm in the future. All I knew was that I was Father's treasure, the only beloved daughter of Green Mansion. Father always said, a young lady didn't need to learn the tricks of intrigue, nor master equestrianism or painting to decorate herself. Before I turned 5, he let me run wild, collecting seashells on Puget Sound's beaches, camping in Mount Rainier's forests. After I turned 5, he said he would teach me the most important thing, how to enjoy life without guilt. Mother was nearly faint with anger at this, but Father looked completely unrepentant. I dote on my daughter, why would I make her suffer? These carefree days lasted until I was 7. Second uncle, thanks to his outstanding performance at the Ministry of Finance, was promoted to minister, becoming Father's equal in rank. He sent a formal invitation, asking our family of 3 to a dinner at his lakeside villa, claiming it was a family reunion. Father grumbled, he just wants to show off, and told us, don't take it seriously, just enjoy yourselves. But secretly, he dug out his most elegant custom-tailored suit, urged Mother to dress up nicely, and made me put on a pretty frilly dress. Finding the layered skirt too cumbersome for movement, I secretly changed into a neat denim overalls. When Mother saw me, she smiled helplessly. Our Chloe really is one of a kind. The dinner arrangement revealed grandmother's deliberate partiality. 2 tables were set in the grand dining hall. Our table was cold and quiet, with only Father, Mother, and me, while second uncle's table was lively, filled with grandmother, second uncle, his wife, Sarah, their 3 children, and even several pregnant distant relatives standing by to serve. As soon as we sat down, grandmother spoke, her tone sharp with undisguised reproach. Your younger brother has added more members to the family, some are even pregnant now. You 2 hold equal positions, but you're far behind in continuing the lineage. You need to do something about this and have a son soon. No matter what, your brother's family is thriving, your branch can't end with you. Father's face darkened instantly. I have Chloe, how is that ending the lineage? A girl can never be the continuation of the family. Grandmother slammed the table, her temper flaring. Can the Green family's heritage end with you? My daughter is my continuation, and I say that counts. Father refused to back down, raising his voice. Chloe has my eyes, my smile, she's just like me. She is my legacy. As grandmother's face turned purple with anger, Mother quickly tugged Father's sleeve, silently urging him to stop. Second uncle gave Father a cold glance, his tone stern. Brother, that's enough. Don't make Mother angry here. Father snorted, muttering under his breath, a mother who lacks kindness can't expect filial piety. If she, as a grandmother, doesn't love her granddaughter, why should I endure this? I sat beside them, sipping cream of mushroom soup from a small bowl, but my heart felt secure. I knew no matter what happened, Father would protect me. Since I was little, he'd taught me, everyone is responsible for their own emotions. Others' unhappiness is their problem, I only need to focus on my own joy. But I couldn't help thinking, sometimes, Father was less mature than his 7-year-old daughter. Just as the atmosphere grew tense, Sarah stepped in with a smile to smooth things over. Why don't the children perform some talents to entertain everyone? It might cheer the old lady up. Second uncle agreed readily, while Father looked impatient, neither nodding nor objecting. First to perform was Lillian, second uncle's legitimate daughter. She painted a watercolor of Puget Sound sunset, so vivid it drew applause from everyone. Next was Amy, one of the twins, who danced a ballet, her movements graceful and lively. Finally, Jason recited Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Though young, his clear voice carried great presence. After the 3 children finished, grandmother's gaze fell on me, her face cold. Chloe, you're the eldest. Show us something too, set a good example for your younger siblings. Father stood up immediately, shielding me behind him. "Mother, Chloe doesn't know equestrianism or painting. Don't make things difficult for her." "Dad, it's okay." I gently tugged his sleeve, then bowed respectfully to grandmother. "Since grandmother wants me to perform, I'll do my best, even if it's clumsy." Everyone expected me to make a fool of myself. But to their surprise, I took a deep breath and began performing Tai Chi, the martial art father had taught me. I had a good memory. Father had only casually demonstrated it once during a camping trip at Mount Rainier, muttering, "Lucky I took an Eastern martial arts elective in college," yet I'd remembered every move. Now, I stretched my body, my movements blending hardness and softness, at times like rustling pine waves, at times like a crane spreading its wings, at times like swift wind and lightning. The hall fell silent instantly, the earlier sneers and mockery turned to amazement. Grandmother's eyes widened in disbelief, father clapped excitedly, his mouth grinning from ear to ear, mother's face lit up with a bright smile. News of this talent performance quickly spread through Seattle's upper social circles. Everyone talked about how the speaker's daughter was extraordinary, having mastered an Eastern martial art. Worried this might overshadow Lillian and further strain the two families' relationship, mother took the initiative to meet second uncle's wife and gave her many invitations to charity galas. Since second uncle's wife already knew, from the old handshake pact, that my future marriage was already decided, she gladly accepted. Before long, Lillian became the new darling of Seattle's noble ladies' circle. Second uncle's resentment toward father faded significantly, and even grandmother rarely praised father, saying, "You did well this time." Watching father's delighted expression, I finally understood. He had always cared about grandmother's approval and valued his brotherly bond with second uncle. With two high-ranking government officials from the Green family joining forces, their influence was formidable. Word of this soon reached the state government, and caught the attention of Lena, the lieutenant governor's wife. For years, Lena had been plotting for her son, hoping to undermine Nicholas' position as heir. Knowing my mother was close to the governor's wife, she feared the Green family would become Isabella's ally. Taking advantage of Washington State's founding day anniversary, she organized a garden party. The governor's mother missed her younger brother, who owned a major fishing business in Alaska, and his family. Lena suggested inviting them to the capital to celebrate the anniversary, and incidentally help the brothers' children find suitable marriage partners. The garden party was open to the children of Washington officials with ranks above the 4th grade. Lena even had the governor's mother issue a special order: the Green family's daughter must attend. When father received the invitation, he tore it up on the spot, fuming, "Lena has ulterior motives. We're not going." Mother supported father's decision, but the governor's mother's order was hard to refuse. In the end, we had no choice but to go. The garden party was held at the royal villa at the foot of Mount Rainier. The scenery was pleasant, but danger lurked everywhere. Lena had already instructed Lucas, the eldest son of the Alaska fishing tycoon, to take notice of me. Lucas was an infamous playboy with a violent temper. In Alaska, he relied on his family's power to run amok. Upon seeing me, he followed me relentlessly with malicious intent. I was showing Lillian and Amy wildflowers behind a rockery when Lucas suddenly rushed out, grabbing Amy's arm with a lewd grin. Lillian screamed in terror, and Amy trembled violently as she cried. Without thinking, I rushed forward and pushed Lucas away. "Let her go." Lucas stumbled backward, instantly enraged. "Where did this wild girl come from? How dare you meddle in my business?" He swung his fist at me. I dodged sideways and kicked him hard. Furious, Lucas pounced, trying to grab me. In the chaos, he tore Amy's skirt. Lillian collapsed to the ground in fear. My eyes turned red with anger. I kicked him hard in the knee. Lucas fell to the ground in pain. I hurried to Amy's side to fix her clothes. But before I could steady myself, Lucas got up and lunged at me like a madman. Tall and strong, he was far stronger than me. I could only dodge while clinging tightly to his hair, dragging him outward. Just then, Nicholas and Elias arrived. Elias rushed forward like a leopard, clinging tightly to Lucas' legs and shouting, "Nicholas! Help Chloe!" Nicholas hesitated for a moment, then quickly pounced, pinning Lucas' arms down. I seized the opportunity to climb on top of Lucas, punching him in the face repeatedly, finally even scratching at his eyelids. Within moments, Lucas' eyes were covered in blood, he lost all ability to resist and passed out. In the end, only the governor's wife could suppress the scandal. News of Lillian and Amy's ordeal was hushed up. A private doctor examined us, concluding I had only minor scratches, Elias would recover with rest, and Lucas, most likely having damaged his optic nerve, would never fully regain his eyesight. The Alaska tycoon was furious. Relying on the governor's mother's favoritism, he threatened revenge. But the governor's wife, Alice, grandmother, and both my father and second uncle stood firmly on our side. The governor even roared in anger, "Whoever dares to hurt my son will have no place to stand in Washington state." Only then did the governor's mother realize Lucas was fully to blame. If she insisted on protecting him, it might bring disaster to her entire family. In the end, the Alaska tycoon left Seattle with the unconscious Lucas, never daring to return. The governor's mother, still resentful, punished second uncle by cutting his salary for a year, accusing him of failing to educate his daughter properly. She also tried to take Elias away using the family trust fund, but was stopped by the Rockefeller family's elderly matriarch. Nicholas was punished to copy the Declaration of Independence 50 times. Lena, for her inadequate security arrangements, was banned from participating in any state government social activities for a year. And the harshest punishment fell on me, issued by the governor's mother: the Green family's daughter shall never set foot in the governor's mansion again. I had saved Lillian and Amy, but in doing so, I lost all possibility of becoming Nicholas' fiancée. I thought this was the greatest loss, never imagining that the real changes were only just beginning. Grandmother, impressed by what I'd done, moved back to Green Mansion and even brought Lillian and Amy with her. Taking my mother's hand, she said, "Chloe is more promising than Lillian and Amy. Let her father raise them all together." Second uncle's wife and Sarah were so grateful they held my mother's hands, tears streaming down their faces, begging her to help their daughters become as outstanding as me. Second uncle also said to father, "Brother, please take care of Lillian and Amy." Father agreed on the spot, so excited that he didn't even glance at me. I stood aside, watching him make up with uncle, and seeing the tears in my mother's eyes, but for some inexplicable reason, my heart felt stuffy and heavy. From that day on, Green Mansion became lively. Lillian was gentle and obeyed father in everything. Amy was lively and cute, always hovering around father to make him laugh. Father taught us to read and write, to master social etiquette, and to follow his philosophy of enjoying life. He also often invited Elias over, saying he wanted to carefully assess the future heir to the family. Watching father laugh and chat happily with them, my heart ached with bitterness. Once, his teachings were exclusive to me, his doting was my sole privilege. But now, his heart had grown bigger, making room for Lillian and Amy. It seemed I was no longer his only treasure. Thankfully, the governor's wife often sent Nicholas to visit. A few years older than us, Nicholas would sit quietly in the study reading when he arrived, occasionally glancing in my direction. Unlike Elias, who talked a lot, Nicholas would always quietly hand me a blueberry scone, my favorite, from Seattle's oldest pastry shop, whenever Lillian and Amy crowded around father, vying for his attention. Days passed, and we grew up gradually. Lillian developed into a dignified young lady, praised by everyone in Seattle's social circles. Amy remained as lively as ever, like a little fairy who charmed everyone. Nicholas, as graceful as an orchid, became the dream lover of countless noble young ladies. Elias, handsome and elegant with a gentle nature, took over the family's shipping business and ran it brilliantly. As for me, under father's guidance and years of imitation, I gradually became more and more like Lillian and Amy. I could do everything they could, equestrianism, painting, I was just as skilled in social etiquette as they were. Even the Tai Chi I'd once been so proud of, they'd learned it well by following online videos. I seemed to lose all my uniqueness. On my 16th coming-of-age ceremony, Green Mansion was filled with guests. Countless people came to congratulate Lillian and Amy. Standing aside, I felt like an outsider. Noticing my disappointment, Mother took my hand and led me to Alice. Alice gave me a pearl necklace, smiling and wishing me happiness every day, but said nothing about the marriage agreement they'd made years ago. Elias came too. He treated me no differently from Lillian and Amy, gentle enough, but also deliberately distant enough. The faint affection I'd once felt for him, out of gratitude for saving me, faded completely. Not long after the coming-of-age ceremony, Alice visited with Elias. Taking my mother's hand, she smiled and said, "All three girls are so outstanding, and they've grown up with Elias. The Rockefeller family is small in number. If all three could join our family, it would be perfect for everyone." Her meaning was clear. She wanted the three of us sisters to be with Elias together. Standing beside her, Elias looked full of longing, without the slightest objection. I stared anxiously at Mother, hoping she would refuse on the spot. But Mother remained silent for a long time, neither agreeing nor refusing. At that moment, my heart turned completely cold. I had always remembered the lesson Father taught me: stay away from anyone who makes me feel wronged, even if that person is father or mother. That night, I packed my luggage, determined to leave this suffocating Green Mansion. Before leaving, I wanted to go to my parents' window and take one last look at them. Mother's voice drifted out, tinged with hesitation. "I really can't bear to refuse Alice's proposal. Lillian and Amy went through such a terrible scare back then. Being with Elias might give them a stable life. But I'm worried it will wrong Chloe." Father's voice sounded tired and regretful. In my heart, I've always had only one daughter, Chloe. These years, I was blinded by Lillian and Amy's obedience and thoughtfulness, and I ignored Chloe's feelings. She's the child I should have doted on the most. Standing outside the window, tears fell silently down my cheeks. So they did care about me. But this belated realization could no longer make up for all the loss and grievance I'd endured over the years. I didn't stay. Turning around, I vanished into the night. I had long planned my destination, a small cabin in Spokane, 1,000 miles away, a birthday gift from Father years ago, which I had secretly maintained all this time. I drove as fast as I could, desperate to escape everything in Seattle. But I kept feeling someone chasing me. Every time I looked back, there was nothing. By dawn, I finally reached the cabin in Spokane. As I pushed open the door, a disheveled figure stumbled in, gasping for breath. It was Nicholas. His face was exhausted, his custom suit covered in dust. When he saw me, he let out a long sigh of relief, his tone carrying a faint hint of coquetry. "You ran so fast, I'm exhausted from chasing you." I froze. Hurrying to get him water to wash his face, I made a pot of hot clam chowder. After cleaning up, he picked up a spoon and devoured the soup, praising between bites that it tasted better than the chowder at Seattle's 5-star restaurants. "Nicholas, how did you know I left?" I couldn't help asking. Even my father didn't notice. He put down the spoon and looked at me seriously. "After the Lucas incident, I asked my personal bodyguards to secretly protect you. The moment you left Green Mansion, I knew." "Why?" I asked, confused. Nicholas' gaze softened. He spoke slowly, every word clear. "Because you're my fiancé." These 5 words were like a stone thrown into my heart, stirring up 1,000 ripples. Blushing furiously, I turned and ran into the bedroom. The cabin had 2 bedrooms, one for me, one for him. After a night of rushing around, he fell asleep quickly. Lying in the next room, I tossed and turned, unable to rest. It turned out that someone had always kept me in their heart, even when I didn't know it. It turned out that the promise I'd forgotten had always been remembered by someone. Moonlight streamed in through the window, gently enveloping the entire wooden cabin. I stared out at the night sky, a smile involuntarily curving my lips. Perhaps leaving Seattle wasn't an end, but the beginning of my real life. Those misplaced years, those lost affections, all would be tenderly smoothed away by the Spokane moonlight.